Boom, 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 boom. Well, well, well. Okay, whether you're listening, I'm just practicing. I've got to be honest. I'm just practicing the whole live thing. And I've stuffed a few things up already. Anyway, I'll want to do this and get a bit more organized with how I do lives and try and understand how you actually do them. But it's all good. Okay, what I want to talk about one, one, one issue, one story, two different articles that have come out from this story. Remember what happened with the Bankstown nurses and their anti-Semitic rant that they went on. It's just it blows my mind. I don't know how. It's okay, I do know how it's happened, but it just blows my mind that this can happen. Okay, so the case involving the Bankstown hospital nurses, it just keeps getting more ridiculous. Okay, first you've got drug possession charges against his name is I'm reading it here, Ahmad Rashad Nadir. Um, Hopefully that's how you pronounce it. So these drug possession charges have been dismissed. Now the judge has ruled that the video evidence showing anti-Semitic behavior, the very footage the very footage that sparked the entire investigation cannot be used in court. Absolutely ridiculous. So, not because the behavior didn't happen, and not because the video is fake, and not because the evidence is unreliable. No, because they didn't know they were being recorded. They didn't know they were being recorded. Absolutely ridiculous. So, I'll start off with what's happened with the drug charges. Okay, so according to this article that's come out, Nadir's drug possession charge was dismissed because the magistrate found no reasonable prospect of conviction. So not because the drugs didn't exist, and not because the police fabricated the evidence, nothing like that, not because the situation was misunderstood, just no reasonable prospect of conviction. The translation is it's a technicality. It's a procedural weakness, really. It's a loophole. This is becoming a problem, not just in this case, but across the justice system. We're not dealing with innocence. We're dealing with charges, dealing with people, dealing with charges evaporating because the system can't be bothered to pursue them properly. That's what's my opinion. That's really what's happening. But the real circus begins with the video evidence surrounding these two, the Bankstown nurses. The That's being thrown out as well. The judge has said, I'm quoting what's been written in this article that's been published. It says, the judge said, I've come to the firm view that the video evidence must be excluded from each of the trials of the applicants. So not because the footage is unclear, and not because the behavior didn't occur, not because the video is doctored, not because of any of those. No, because the nurses were recorded without their consent. Without their consent. Apparently, you have to. It's, it's laughable, isn't it? So their lawyers have successfully argued that being filmed in a hospital while on duty, so they were at work, they were working, supposedly working. Instead of working, they're doing something else completely unrelated to work. So while on duty, their lawyers have argued that being filmed in a hospital while on duty, it's amounted to an illegal invasion of privacy. If you're at work, this is what I find hard to comprehend. If you're at work and you're jumping on the internet using, work work time, um, stealing time. Instead of working, you're really stealing time from your employer. You're stealing their time, and that's an invasion of privacy. So let's get this straight. You can behave in a way that is offensive, discriminatory, completely inappropriate for a healthcare professional, completely inappropriate for the workplace. You can record yourself doing it. You can share it. You can be caught red-handed. But the real injustice is that you didn't know someone else was recording you. That's the legal equivalent of it's like saying that, yeah, I stole the car, but the CCTV footage shouldn't be allowed because I didn't know the camera was there. Or yeah, I assaulted someone, but the security guard shouldn't have filmed it without my permission. Or or yeah, I committed the crime, but it's unfair that you caught me. That's virtually what it's saying. What they're saying here. This isn't justice. This is it's just absurd. Absolutely ridiculous. But this is the modern justice system in Australia. Craziness. Uh, You got to be clear. I think the privacy argument is just a smokescreen. It's not. These nurses weren't filmed in their home. Like I said, it was at their workplace. They weren't filmed in a private bedroom. They weren't filmed in a bathroom. They're filmed in a hospital, on duty, in a public workplace, surrounded by patients representing New South Wales Health. A hospital is one of the most monitored environments in modern society. There'd be cameras everywhere. There'd be footage of them all over the place, talking, filming themselves. Cameras everywhere, security everywhere, accountability everywhere, but apparently not. If you want privacy, you don't work in a hospital. If you want privacy, you don't film yourself while you're working in a public hospital. You don't film yourself making offensive comments, nufties. And you definitely don't share it if you really wanted privacy. If y- you're going to feign dismay that you're being recorded, but now we're supposed to believe they're victims of an illegal invasion of privacy. They're the victims. They're the real victims here. They're victims of their own stupidity. They're victims of their own idiocy, their own stupid behavior. The justice system is bending over backward to protect them from consequences of their own behavior. And this kind of rubbish happens all throughout Australia. Our justice system bending over backwards to protect people from their own stupidity, from consequences from their own stupid behavior. This is what Australia's become, the great nanny state. Here's here's the truth. Well, I see it anyway. These nurses aren't upset because they were wrongly accused. They're upset because they were caught. Their stupidity is on display for the whole world to see. And they're embarrassed. They've brought embarrassment to their family, they've brought embarrassment to their faith. That's why they're whatever, they're embarrassed. They're not arguing innocence, and they're arguing privacy. They're not saying the behavior didn't happen. They're saying the evidence shouldn't be allowed. This isn't justice. This is not fairness. It's not due process. This is the justice system. Oh, wow. I've got a delivery. Hold on a second. Sorry, that was a touch embarrassing. They're not saying that the behavior didn't happen. They're saying the evidence shouldn't be allowed. It's just, it's not really justice. But like I said, we don't seem to get true justice anymore here in Australia. It's not about fairness. This isn't fairness, and it's not really due process. This is the justice system. It's protecting people from the consequences of their own actions, their own stupidity. And it sends this message: if you behave badly, just make sure you didn't know you're being recorded. Wow. It's this ridiculous loophole, just this stupid shield, the technicality masquerading as a moral principle, protecting two of the most immoral people you'll probably ever see. It's- this is the slippery slope of Australia's justice system. You got people behaving badly, they get caught on video, they claim privacy, the courts exclude the evidence, the charges disappear, um, the institutions avoid accountability, and the public loses trust in the justice system, which I've spoken about quite a number of times over the last couple of years. The public losing trust, losing faith in our justice system because we see all these examples where people who commit atrocious crimes, atrocious acts of violence, abh- abhorrent acts of hate, and yet they're not held accountable. Our justice system doesn't seem to want to hold anyone truly accountable. There's no accountability. But the problem is there's no accountability uh, in our political system. So why should there be any real accountability across the rest of Australia? And it's the system seems to be more concerned with protecting offenders from embarrassment than protecting the public from misconduct. I I think the video evidence that is now being excluded. The video evidence shows what it shows. The behavior happened. The consequences should follow. But instead, the justice system has decided that being caught red handed is unfair. Being caught because you didn't know all these people were going to see it is just unfair. Because the offenders didn't know they were being recorded. Like I said, it's like someone breaking into some place and then saying, "Well, it's unfair that the people had cameras there, and I didn't know I was being filmed doing this illegal act." It's not justice. This is a loophole. It's a shield. This is a system bending to protect the guilty instead of confronting the truth. Like I've said numerous times, I've asked the question, what is truth? Australia needs to ask itself, what is truth? Where do we stand on telling the truth? Because we don't seem to want to stand. We we don't seem to have principles anymore. We don't seem to stand on the principled high ground. This is and we need this is why I believe we need more transparency throughout our public sector, throughout our political institutions, because we no longer have transparency within these areas, and we need more accountability and more moral courage, because it just starts to bleed into the rest of Australia. Because without transparency, accountability, moral courage, without them, our institutions will continue just to slide down this slippery slope of no morals, no accountability, no justice. Anyway, this is all just my opinion. I'm still j-fallon. Like I said, I'm just really trying this out just to see how it goes, doing doing live chats. Let me know. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna try some more. Try and actually schedule live chats and get people on here talking if I can. Anyway, like I said, all this is my opinion. Please like and share if you really, really care. Thanks for listening, and I'll see if I can get out of this now. See you later.